वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थसुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजता दधोक्षजे आविश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, verse number 69. This is instruction of Sri Narada to King Yudhishthira. So, in the previous verse, he explained how the Pandavas, they are great devotees of the Lord, and therefore they were able to transcend all the problems which came in their life. And he recommended devotion, path of bhakti, as the best process for spiritual realization. Now in this verse and in the upcoming verses, he explains his own story, how he became a devotee. So this he has also described earlier in the first canto to Vyasa, and now he explains it in brief. There he spoke in much more detail. Here he speaks only about 4 or 5 verses about it. So he says, Aham pura bhavam kaschid gandharva uparahana namna tite mahakalpe gandharvanam susammataha. So he says that in the past, he is now talking about his past life, and not immediate past, but life, two lives before. So now he is Narada, and in the past life he was son of a maid servant, and before that he says that he was born as a Gandharva. Gandharva is a clan of people who are great singers. beautiful melodious voice and they sing. So he says that I was a Gandharva and my name was Upabarhana. And he was very much honored among the Gandharvas. So not only that he was a singer, but among the singers he had a very special position. He was very much respected and honored by other Gandharvas. And then he is speaking about his position at that time. He says, Rupa Peshala Madhurye Saugandhya Priya Darshana Strinam Priyatamo Nityam Mattastu Kuru Lampata. So he says that I was very beautiful and very intelligent. Usually beauty and intelligent, not a good combination. So he says, Rupa Peshala Madhurya. He says I was very beautiful, very intelligent and very sweet in speech and Saugandhya. And I had a very beautiful fragrance coming out from my body. So there was no need of using perfumes. And Priya Darshana. So sometimes some people are beautiful and there are others who are lovely to look at. So he says that I was Priya Darshana. Priya means lovely, Darshana means seeing. That people just looked at me. And Striyanam Priyatama. And therefore I was dearmost person for the females. So he says that I was always surrounded by females because of my beauty, my cleverness, very witty. And Mattastu, and therefore I was very proud. So, like intoxicated and Purulampata, and I was also very much attached to women in their company. So this is how he was. So there is a commentary on this verse. It says, Yadrichika sadhu sanga labda bhakti sadhakansya dharman santajya sarvatma bhajet sacha sattamaha इत्यादि श्री भागवत शास्त्र स्वरूपेण सैव भगवान यथादशति तथैव ते कुर्वन्ति सलिंगानाम आश्रमांस त्यक्त्वा चरेद विधि गोचर इति भगवदत्तं विधि वाक्यमेव प्रमाणे कुर्वन्तो वर्णाश्रमाचारादिकं नापेक्षन्ते तत्र पूर्वजन्मनि स्वमेव प्रमाणे कुर्वन्नः. So why he is explaining about his past life suddenly? Because he was asked a question by King Yudhishthira and he explained. So now what is the need for him to talk about his past life? So he has an intention in telling that, because now he is not the same person. Sometimes people talk of their life because they want to show how great they are. So his intention is not that. His intention is that he wants to show how the association of a devotee of God can influence a person. And it is with this intention that he wants to relate the story, and thus he has further intention, deeper intention, because people may think that, well, I am not born in any varnashram system, and it was described. These four classes of men and women, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or four ashramas, living as brahmachari, grihastha, vanprastha, sannyasi. So majority of humanity at present does not belong to that. So does it mean that one is not qualified for spirituality? Because earlier he spoke how one has to follow this, and by that one attains perfection. So he wants to convey that it does not matter where you are or what status of life you belong to. If you can have association of a saintly person, of a devotee, then that is sufficient to bring a transformation in your life. And for that he gives his own personal example. Because this is what happened to him. He was like a person who was just given to pleasures. Just like sometimes you see there are some young, what you call them, pop singers, right? So they sing nicely, they are beautiful, they are surrounded by nice girls, and that's their life. So Narada says I was also like that. He was more beautiful than any of these singers which you may be knowing, and better singer, because he was the singer of the singers. Even the other famous singers respected him for his voice and his art. So that is also the meaning of Upabarhana. Barha means the top. So he was like on the top of his clan. And he was also intelligent and good talker. So that's why he was attractive to ladies. So the commentator says that this association of saintly people you get by the grace of God. By your own effort, it is difficult. So by the grace of God, you can come in contact with a saintly person. And if you are open-minded, then it will have an influence on you and it can transform your life. So therefore it says, Yadrichik sadhu sangha labdha bhaktin sadhakans. So the only thing which brings true transformation in one's life is saintly association. As I explained yesterday and before that also, then the real change in one's life happens when there is love in the heart. And this love comes only by the grace of devotees, by the grace of saintly people. Otherwise there is no possibility. You cannot get it by yourself, because this love is not material. So therefore that it says Yadrichika sadhu sangalam. And there is no reason, it's not that some kind of activity you can perform to have association of saintly people. You get it by the grace. Only thing is that once you get and if you understand, then you should desire it and want more of it. But the first time you will get it only by the grace, not because of something you did or you did not do. So for that he says, Dharman santajaya sarvan mam bhajet satasatma. So who is a saintly person? Because there are various types of saintly people. So he says that one who is fully devoted to God, Dharman santajaya sarvan, who gives up everything and becomes fully devoted to God, Mam Bhajet Sacha Satma, he is considered as a truly saintly person. So there are various types of saintly person. There are yogis, there are jnanis, there are all types of tantrikas, this, that. But the real saint is one who has given his heart, mind, body, everything to God. So that is the definition given by Krishna himself, Supreme God. So ityadi Sri Bhagavat Shastra Swarupena Saiva Bhagavan Yathadishti Tathayita Karunti. So therefore such a person, he or she acts as God has instructed in books such as Bhagavad Quran or as in Bhagavad Gita. So Salinganam Salingan ashraman tyaktva chared vidhi avidhi gochara. So such people sometimes are not easy to recognize. Because if somebody is dressed in a particular way, then you can say that he is a priest, or he is a pujari, or he is a rabbi, something. You can speak by seeing the dress, but as we have been saying, that the real change is that which happens internally. And that internal change is not easy to figure out, because we have no idea what it means to have an internal change. So he is giving some hint of that here. And one of the things is that he is devoted. So he says that this type of saintly characteristic is not dependent on any social status or on a particular type of birth, that one has to be born in a Brahmana family or some other family, or one has to be sannyasi or a yogi or live in a forest. Nothing like that. So it does not depend on any of these things, because it is a change in consciousness, in the awareness of the person. And that awareness can be no matter what you are wearing externally. Because awareness is not dependent on the dress. So for that reason he says that it is not dependent on any external symbols. Salingan. Linga means some symbols, some signs. So ashraman or particular ashraman, that you have to be a celibate student or a renounced person or a married, nothing. Chared avidhi gochara. So such a person moves about without being recognized. Iti bhagavaduktam vidhivakyameva pramani kurvanto. So to show that how these statements of Krishna, they were experienced by Narada in his personal life. He wants to show that. And that intention is that we should also not become discouraged that I am born in this family, that family, or I don't have this qualification or that qualification. Because everybody has got the qualification to become devoted to God. You may not have qualification to be an IT engineer, or to become a great musician, or a dancer, or a great manager, but you all have the ability to be a lover of God. So that's what Narada says, that this characteristics of this ability is in everybody, and it does not care for any birth or social position or some material qualifications. Tatra purva janmani swameva pramani kurvana. For that he is explaining his past life. Ahamiti sardai panchvi in 5 verses. Peshlam chaturyam. So the word Peshala means expert, clever. So then he continues to explain, he says, Ekada dev satretu gandharva apsaranam ganaha upahuta vishvasiddhir harirgatha pagayane. So he says that once there was a big assembly in the court of Lord Brahma. Brahma, where the 4 heads. So he had arranged for a big program, big festival, where he has invited various singers and dancers so that they could sing about God and enact some play about God's activities. So he also was invited for that. But when he went there, he made a mistake. And this mistake happens Because in the material world, people become proud whenever they have some material qualification. Be it beauty or intelligence or wealth, it makes one arrogant. So he says, Aham cha gayanstad vidwan stribhi parivrito gataha gyatva visvusajastan me helanam shaipurojasa. He says, I also went there, and as usual I was surrounded by many beautiful women. So I was singing some secular songs, not about God. I was just singing some songs, trying to amuse the girls around me. So when Brahma saw this, he became upset, because he was not interested in hearing some mundane songs. Brahma only wanted to hear about God and the glories of God. So when Upabarhana, this Gandharva, arrived there, he was singing some materialistic songs. So Brahma felt insulted that why this person is coming and spoiling our mood. So devotees of God, they are not interested in hearing all these materialistic songs or music. It doesn't interest them. Everybody has their taste. They don't have a taste for this. So therefore Brahma became upset and he cursed Upabarhana. So these great people, they have power to curse, means if they say something, then it happens. Those of you who have studied Yoga Sutra, then you know that one of the yama is satya. Right? Ahimsa satya asteya brahmacharya parigraha yama. And then Patanjali describes that by following the principle of truthfulness, then one gets power. That what one says, it comes true. So therefore, he got into trouble. Tadahvanam vidwan unmatta san gayaneva mita. He says that when I was invited there, I did not just enter the assembly in a normal way, but I entered while singing. He was already performing. Like he wanted to look at me, here I am. Here comes Upabarhana, stop and look. And it would have been fine if he was singing some kirtan, some songs of God. Then it would have been alright, he would have been appreciated. But unfortunately, he was just singing some useless song. So the outcome of that was, Yahi tvam sudratam ashu nashta sri krita helam. So Brahma cursed him that you be born as a Shudra. So Shudra is the labor class. So he says, lose all your singing power, your beauty, your intelligence, and be born as a dull-head fellow. So he says, Krita Helna, because you are being very disrespectful. This is not an assembly. There is a place and time for everything. There is a place and time for singing the type of songs you are singing. This is not the place for that. It's not that you go and start singing your rap music inside the church. In the church you sing church music. So this was the curse, and of course the curse of great personalities is also a blessing, because that curse is going to get you out of that situation. Otherwise you will continue doing something wrong. So he says, Tavad dashyamaham jagye tatrapi brahmavadinam Shushrushayanusangena praptoham brahmaputratam. So then, because of that curse, he has to give up that beautiful body of Gandharva, And then he was born as a son of a maid servant in his next life. And this is the story which is described in the 5th and 6th chapter of 1st canto. So there Narada, he describes that how he was son of a maid servant and he did not have a father. And his mother used to do some cleaning job in the house of a Brahmana, some learned scholar. And once some saintly people were guests of this Brahmana. So he also was going to the house of this Brahmana along with his mother. The mother was going there to do some cleaning job, washing pots or whatever. And as a young boy, he was also going. And this was his great fortune because he will go and then he will sit and listen to these people who are always talking about God and singing songs about God. And just by, although as a young boy, and this is what he wants to show, that he was not born in a high-class family. He was not even a person who was grown up, that who had some intelligence to understand. He was just a 5-year-old kid. And yet the association of the saints influenced him so much that he became completely devoted to God. And when these saintly people were leaving, he said, I want to come with you. But they did not take him. He said, you are too young and you have your mother, she will feel very distressed if you come with us. So they left, but while leaving, they initiated him in a mantra. They gave him mantra and said, you stay with your mother and you chant this mantra. So he felt very sad. Usually a 5-year-old kid doesn't want to leave the mother, but he wanted to leave. He became so elevated by their association. And then he was always chanting this mantra and he was just hoping when can he get out from his mother. And his mother was very much attached to him because he had no husband, no other children. So he was the sole object of her attachment. So she was completely attached to this boy and the boy was only thinking of God. And inside he was hoping that one day he should be able to get out of here and find those saintly people and be with them. He liked them so much. So what happened that one day, early morning, his mother was going for the service to milk the cow from this Brahmana. And on the way, it was dark and there was a snake. And she stepped on the snake and this was cobra. So she got bitten by the snake and she died. So when the mother died, then this boy was very happy. He was just in ecstasy. So he put the mother's body to fire because they were living in a hut. So he somehow got the body inside the hut and put fire to the hut. And he burnt his own house and the mother. And then he left from there. And he walked towards the Himalayas alone. Walking through the forest, walking. Because he heard that the sadhus, the yogis, they live in the Himalayas. So then on the way he felt tired, there was no food there. So he drank some water and he felt relieved, and then he sat in meditation and he was chanting. So then he got into samadhi. And God appeared to him. And when he saw the beauty of God, he was completely in bliss. He was enamored. But then suddenly God disappeared. And when he disappeared, then he started crying. And then he was trying to concentrate his mind, thinking that maybe I can again see him. But he tried very hard. He was not successful. So then he heard a voice, and God spoke to him and said, now in this life, you will not be able to see me again. I gave you my vision once. You continue chanting and singing, and when time comes, then you will come to me. So Narada, he was consoled by hearing this voice of God, and then he continued his meditating, chanting. And then after some time, the time came for him to die. So he died, and then he got a spiritual body as Narada. That's when he became Narada. And then God personally came and gave him the musical instrument called Veena. So if you have seen some painting of Narada, and he goes around singing on the Veena about God's names. So this is the story which he is describing. He says, Praptoham Brahma Putratam. Then he was born as a son of Brahma, as Narada. After giving up that body, then he was born as son of Brahma, same Brahma who has cursed him. Now he became his son, and he became a great sage. So he explains in these verses how by the grace, by the blessings of these saintly people, he could attain such a high position that now even Krishna was giving respect to him. And of course, King Yudhishthira was respecting him. So this is what he informs us by telling his past life. He says, Tatrapi Sudra Janmani api yadva tadrish abhishape api sati atra tadrish itihas kathanam bhakte praga bhav gyapnartham anusangena puna puna sangena anukulena sangena. So he says that he is just telling this story because he wants to inform how by the anusanga, by the association, he got his bhakti. Sushrushaya anusangena, by doing service to the saintly people and by listening to them, by associating with them, I attained the state of being Narada. Praptoham Brahmaputratam. So he says that although I was cursed, yet the blessing of saintly people was so powerful that I got bhakti. So why the story of curse is brought here? That is to show that he did not have bhakti before. Otherwise he will not be singing those mundane songs. And then obviously he got cursed, so he did not have bhakti. So he got bhakti only because of the Sangha, by association. That's what he intends to inform here. Puna puna sangena anukulena sangena. So the word anusanga can have two meanings. That he got association time and again repeatedly. Because once you have association first time, it influences you. And that's not enough. Then you want more, you hear more, you study more, and associate more and more and more. That is one meaning. Other meaning is that he got favorable association. This means he got the association of right type of saintly people. But sometimes saintly people are also such that they don't want to give any grace, or you cannot understand their behavior. They are very abnormal in their behavior, and you may not appreciate that. So many stories of saintly people, how they behave. So he got favorable association. So dharmaste griha medhiyo varnita papanashanaha grihasto yena padvim manjasana shinamiyat. So now he concludes his talk. He says that in this way I have spoken to you this dharma which can be practiced while staying at home, and this purifies your mind, your heart, your senses, your very existence. And by doing this you will attain the same position which sannyasis attain. Means the people who give up house, family, take to the renounced order of life, the destination which they attain, you will attain that without much difficulty while staying at home. So this is how he concludes his talk about his instructions. And then in the upcoming verses, he will glorify the Pandavas, because Pandavas may feel a little bit unhappy that you are so great but we don't have such opportunity. So then he will say that you are so great that people go to have association of saintly people, but in your case saintly people are coming to you. So how great you are. So that he will describe in the upcoming verses, which we will read tomorrow. If there is any question on this. Okay. ठीक है. So you had good trip to the Taj.